Good afternoon, and welcome to a Monday edition of the Mark Moses Show podcast, as we're always broadcasting from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Call them today and get more details on all things Anidjar and Levine on my website at markmosesshow.com. And I hope everyone out there has a great Christmas, holidays, New Year's, all that cool stuff. But you know what we got to do right now? We're going to talk some football, because I'll tell you, so at 5 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, tonight as well. Yeah, it's nonstop football this time of year. And to break it down, it's got its great job with the Florida Today newspaper and all of his publications around the great state of Florida. He's my great friend, Tim Walters. Tim, how you doing, buddy?
Doing fantastic. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and Happy Holidays to all. Thanks for letting me be here.
You're absolutely right. And let's start with this. A Christmas miracle. The Jacksonville Jaguars, 6 games in a row with the win streak. I don't know if this stat's right. Maybe you can correct me. First time since 99, they've won 6 in a row. They beat up the Denver Broncos yesterday. 11-4, still a chance at the 1 seed. Dude, what is going on there in Duval country?
Yeah, so this is no longer a Christmas miracle. This is a for real thing. Those Jaguars are for real. And, you know, they're doing it in several different ways. So if you look at Trevor Lawrence, 4 more touchdowns yesterday, 3 passing, 1 rushing. Last week, he had 5 passing and 1 rushing. But to me, the biggest number of all, the 0 turnovers. Remember, Trevor Lawrence had been a turnover machine during his NFL career. And now we're starting to see a lot of things getting better with Trevor Lawrence. I think, number one, the coaching has to do a lot with it. Liam Cohen, he's changed up a lot about what Trevor Lawrence is doing. And, part of it yesterday, they talked about on the broadcast, his hand positioning. Trevor Lawrence used to do the shotgun where his arms were down at his side, like he was holding 2 suitcases. Liam Cohen now has him standing there ready to receive the ball. So when it comes to his hand, he's ready to go. You know, that split second can mean the difference between getting the ball out of your hands, getting sacked, all of those things. So if there's one thing that the Jaguars are certainly doing right on offense, it's what Trevor Lawrence is doing. And I think that, he's finally got the receivers around him and everything's going right there. Number 2 is their defense. They still lead the NFL in takeaways, and they got a couple more yesterday. None bigger than Jerry and Jones' big interception there in the 4th quarter, where he picked off Bo Nix when they were driving. It was 34-20 Jaguars at that point. The Broncos get in the end zone. There's still plenty of time with them down to score, but Jones comes up with that big interception. And so they're doing it really well there. And then just kind of some of the intangibles that the Jaguars are the number 1 most penalized team in the NFL. Yesterday, in the loudest environment you can imagine, they had 0 false starts. So they fixed that, at least for yesterday only. A crazy thing here, Mark, the Broncos number 1, the Jaguars number 3 in the AFC, but they were number 1 and 2 in the entire NFL in being penalized. The Jaguars averaged 8.4 penalties per game, and the Broncos were 8.0. They were the only 2 over 8 penalties per game. The Broncos had their share, but they held a pretty clean game. But the Jaguars, for what they were doing, did a great job of keeping it clean. So, anytime you're doing offense, defense, coaching, and penalties the right way, you're going to win games, and they're really getting in that rhythm now.
All right. There's many things I want to go over with you, but let's go over the latest. There are 2 games to go in the regular season for the Jaguars. What are the 2 final games the Jaguars have coming up?
Yeah, before we get to those, we first have to mention tonight's game, 49ers and Colts. So if the Colts lose tonight, the Jaguars are automatically in the playoffs, at minimum a wild card team. If the Colts win, they still have to wait. But if the Colts lose to the Niners, then the Jaguars are automatically in. Now, we have to really look at them and the Houston Texans. So the Jaguars seem to have a pretty easy road, right? They are playing the Colts in Indianapolis this weekend, and then they are playing the Titans to close out the season. The Texans, who are 1 game back of the Jaguars in the AFC South, they have the Chargers, which will be a tough game, and then they have the Colts. If the Texans win both of their games, but if the Jaguars somehow drop one of theirs, the Texans win the AFC South based on tiebreakers. So the Jaguars, they basically have to take care of business against 2 teams that they're better than, or hope that the Texans lose to the Chargers. Now, looking at those scenarios, You've also got the possibility where the Jaguars could finish the number 1 seed in the AFC. So here's how that would work. Right now, they are 1 game behind both the Broncos and the Patriots. But if the Jaguars win out and the Broncos and Patriots each drop 1 game, you'll have a 3-way tie-in record, but the Jaguars would own a 1-game better conference record and therefore could get the number 1 and the bye. So the Broncos and the Patriots really need to take care of their own business, because you lose a game and the Jaguars win out and you're not going to get that bye anymore. It's going to be so much fun these last 2 weeks.
All right, I want to apologize to you. So the last couple of weeks, we would be on this show and you and me would go heavy on high school football, which makes sense. We had teams going deep in the tournament. And then the Gators got the new coach. You and me talk Gators all the time. And at the end, you're like, hey, can we talk Jaguars? I'm like, I'm sorry, we're running out of time, right? I was like, I bumped you from the Tonight Show with the Jaguars talk. And in that time frame, the Jaguars, when no one's paying attention, kept winning football games. It's an amazing story. What I wanted to go over with you is, because you do a great job where, look, you're a sports editor. You're looking for the best stories, the best angles. I'll give you your story. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had coordinators under them the last couple of years. One of them is Mr. Canales, who's helping the Carolina Panthers as their new head football coach, maybe win the NFC South. Then you and me talked about this story last spring. Liam Cohen was going to come back to the Buccaneers as their offensive coordinator and says, nah, forget it. I'm going to be the coach of the Jaguars. It's crazy to think with the Buccaneers. They could have had Canales or they could have had Cohen as their coach, but they stayed with their guy in charge right now who might get fired at the end of the year. That's my story. You have 2 guys, former coordinators, who might win coach of the year with Carolina and Jacksonville, and Tampa might not make the playoffs. That's the craziness in all of this. What are your thoughts, Tim?
Yeah, Todd Bowles, he better get them to the playoffs, or I do believe he's out. But then again, who do you replace him with? There's been so many good coaches taken in the cycle. I think Liam Cohen is the clear coach of the year, in my opinion. I think he deserves it over Canales. I think he deserves it over Seattle's head coach. I just think that Liam Cohen, what he has done there is just absolutely phenomenal. But Buccaneers fans, they can't be too worried yet. And I'll tell you why, Mark. Look at the last 2 games for them and the Panthers. This week, the Buccaneers are playing the dumpster fire that is the Dolphins, right? Quinn Ewers was awful yesterday. What are they going to do? Put Tua back in? I doubt it. They're going to stick with Ewers for the rest of the year to see what they got in the young guy. I believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will get back on the winning track against them. Meanwhile, the Panthers, they got to play the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I didn't see the Panthers beating the Rams, and they did. I don't see the Panthers beating the Seattle Seahawks. They have just been too darn good. That game is in Carolina, so the Seahawks have to make that cross-country trip. But I really do believe that the Seahawks are going to take care of business. So what does that mean? If the Panthers lose and the Buccaneers win, you've got 2 teams that are 8-8, and then they meet the final week of the regular season, week 18, in Tampa, which is also key. Look, they lost by a field goal yesterday in Charlotte. The home team's always favored by a field goal. So I think that the Buccaneers, if they win out, I believe that the Panthers will lose a game. I think the Buccaneers could make the playoffs for the 6th straight year, and that would now be the 2nd longest streak in the NFL, because with the Chiefs missing out, their 10 or 11 game playoff streak is snapped, leaving the Bills as number 1 with 8 straight and the Buccaneers number 2 at 5 straight. So the Bills, it's looking like they're going to get in for the 9th straight year, and it's looking like the Buccaneers, they're on the fence, but Todd Bowles has to get in the playoffs if he hopes to keep his job.
All right. If that game is for the division, do you make that the Sunday night football game, final game of the regular season? I say yes. I think it is for that game.
Yeah, I think if that's the one that it comes down to, I'd have to look at the rest of the schedule to see if there are any others that are going to have those type of stakes, but I don't think they will. So yeah, I think that that's the one that you would certainly put in that primetime slot.
Okay, I'm going to say something very mean, and I'm just going to give you a heads up. I know we're a couple days from Christmas here. They look gutless, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're a sinking ship, and I get, they're the Bucs. They're on a ship. They look gutless. They look like a team that doesn't even want to play football. We saw that yesterday. And, it's funny. You watch the Jaguars, you watch the Bears, you watch the Panthers. They're up-and-coming teams. They look excited with new coaches, and everyone's buying in. I don't see that from Tampa. So on paper, I'm with you, where it's like, okay, they should beat Miami. But are they going to beat Miami? I don't know. I'm not putting money on that game. I don't know if they're going to show. They should, but this whole season has been so wonky. I don't know what. I hope the Buccaneers win, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't. Maybe you prove me wrong, but I don't know.
Well, here's the one positive. And yesterday, the Panthers, it's not like they ran up and down the field on the Buccaneers. So they're going to have to stop Devon Chan because they're going to give the ball to him 75 times, I'm not going to trust Quinn Ewers to be hucking the ball downfield to whoever, Jalen Waddle, Leon Washington, whatever they got there. But when you talk about that lack of inspiration, I think that Baker is the type of guy that can kind of inspire a team. Depending on how he comes out. Now, he looked pretty bad yesterday. And that interception he threw late to Lathan Ranson, Mike Evans went one way, he threw the ball the other, and the defender just made a really nice catch on it. But, at the same time, go early in the season when the Buccaneers won, they won 2 or 3 games by last-second field goals against bad teams, and they didn't look all that great. And then they started playing good teams, and they started losing. Bucky Irving was gone for several weeks hurt. Mike Evans was gone for several weeks hurt. I don't think Chris Godwin's ever been healthy in his entire life, and the defense has been kind of a revolving door. So injuries do take their toll, but every team is hurt. But now they've got the guys that they need to win. They just got to really put it together here the last 2 weeks, or there's going to be a lot of change in Tampa Bay.
Dude, they had 3 gimmies, 3 in a row for the division. All they had to do was show up, and most of them were at home as well. You're right. Saints, they blow it. Falcons, they blow it, and they blow it yesterday as well. We talk about the offense. How about the defense? Right before halftime, they give up that touchdown to Bryce Young with like 20 seconds to go. What are you doing? Just play prevent defense. Look, I'm with you. There's a part of me, I think it is going to come down to the final game. But even if the Bucs make the playoffs, then what? Do you think they can do anything? I don't think so. I know I'm going super negative here. I'm sorry.
Hey, even if they make it in, okay, let's say they win the NFC South, they're going to be playing somebody that's probably better than they are, whether it be the Rams or the Seahawks, whoever doesn't win the NFC West. I mean, they're going to have tough sledding ahead. So,
Dude, I'd rather, with my Bears, let's say I'm the 2 seed. What's my reward? I get the Packers again? That's not easy. I'd rather be the 5 seed and go to Carolina or Tampa in round 1. I'd rather have that. That's the easy man. So if you get the 2 or 3 seed, like you're saying, there's no reward for you. There's none. That's how crazy this is. It is. Let's go back to the Jaguars here for a second. How about what you said at the top about Trevor Lawrence? What? He's been in the league for 5 years, and someone's like, hey, just put your hands up. What? Is that all it took? That's all? Is that how Liam Cohen's going to win Coach of the Year? Put your hands up and shotgun? Are you kidding me? That's wild.
Well, it's not just that. It's a lot of the little things that Liam Cohen has been teaching him because they've changed a lot of formations. And again, Jacoby Myers, that trade has really done wonders for him because it's given him a true number 1. I thought Brian Thomas Jr. would be a number 1 last year, but really he was the only healthy receiver, and Mac Jones would just throw him 5-yard routes and pray that he'd run with it. He's proving that he is not that number 1 guy. Played pretty well as a number 2. You've got Jacoby Myers, and then that's opening up, Washington has just been having just a heck of a season. And you've got Pat Surtain over on one side of the field worrying about 2 guys. So Parker Washington becomes their, a main target there. But when you really look at when Trevor Lawrence was at his most successful before this year, you have to look at year number 2. So year number 1 was awful under Urban Meyer. Doug Peterson comes in, cleans up a lot of that, but also, at the time, Christian Kirk was signed to that team, and he was a legitimate number 1. And he had, 1,200 yards that year. And then Evan Engram came in at the top of his game. He had 1,000 yards that year. So he had legit guys. The following year, Trevor gets hurt. His receivers are hurt. Last year, the team is just terrible with Trevor out a lot. He didn't have a lot of guys to throw to. ETN wasn't having a very good year. This year, it's all come together. He's got the right skill guys, And this second half of the season, he has been a different human being. And part of it is taking care of the football. Part of it is just having your hands up. Mark, people don't realize that fraction of a second, how important that is to get the ball out of your hand quicker, to be able to do your check downs if your primary receiver isn't open. There's so many things that does, and he's gotten quicker at his reads and everything. So I don't know, I didn't know a lot about Liam Cohen coming into this year, but already I look at what he's doing, and no knock on Doug Peterson, who won a Super Bowl, but I think Liam Cohen is proving to be a better head coach.
Remember, it started with Duval, and we all made fun of him. I admit it. I thought he looked like a weirdo. But look, whatever works. All right, here's the $50,000 question. You've seen this team play all year. You saw that win yesterday. And remember, the Broncos won, was it like 10 in a row? I mean, it's like wild. Do you think they're good enough to get to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, this is the year to do it. No Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson. No, Justin Herbert and Josh Allen will probably be most likely the best quarterbacks remaining. A lot of people won't trust Bo Nix, and we saw him yesterday struggle late. Aaron Rodgers, do you believe in a 41, 42, 43-year-old who's really not playing all that great? The Steelers, they had that running back, Mason yesterday, who ran for about 1,000 yards. He had 2 45-yard touchdowns. I mean, who are you going to rely on? Why can't it be the Jaguars? If this is the year to do it, this is the year to do it. And that's what they're saying in Buffalo too. Josh Allen finally doesn't have to go through Patrick Mahomes. So, it could come down to that first week. I think that could be your best matchup if you have Jaguars Bills, and that may end up being your Monday night playoff game, because that could be the marquee matchup.
This season reminds me of in the NBA when Michael Jordan retired to play baseball, and all those 90s players are like, hey, maybe we can win now. That's why this season has been so fantastic. It's so crazy. There are so many teams. You're absolutely right. You hit it on the head. There's so many teams that think they can get to the Super Bowl. There's so many coaches that can win Coach of the Year. We don't even know who MVP is right now. I mean, it is wild. So I want to go over this with you. Here's what happened to me on Saturday. So I was sitting there waiting for the 8:30 kickoff between Bears-Packers. So by about 3:30, 4 o'clock, I'm like, I can't sit here anymore. I can't. It's driving me crazy. I'm like, just get me to kickoff. So I got in the car and took a drive. That's something like, a dad does. I always remember my dad. Now I understand why my dad's like, I'm going to go take a drive. I get it. I got to clear my mind. So I went to Merritt Island. I went to the mall, which, yes, half of it looks like a bomb went off. I'll admit it. Like, it's completely half empty. Walked around there, went to some stores. I drove by Cocoa Village, walked around there, just trying to clear my head, because all I kept thinking was, we got to win this game. We got to win this game. That game Saturday night was so emotionally exhausting for me. I didn't even play in the game. I wasn't even on the field. I was so emotionally exhausted. I went to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning after fist pumping like I'm on the Jersey Shore. And then I woke up at 7:30, watched more highlights, went back to bed, got up, watched the Buccaneers-Panthers game, took a 2-hour nap afterwards. I'm telling you, if that game was last night, there's no way we could have done this show today. No way. You talk about stats. The Packers in the last 14 meetings at Soldier Field were 13-1. Own the Bears. Dude, that game Saturday night is why I signed up for all of this. All the bad, all the pain for that. Top 5 wins in my book. Top 20. I love best win in 20 years. I had to get that off my chest. What are your thoughts as an outsider? I want your thoughts.
Yeah. First, we'll start with the Merritt Square Mall. It's a shame what's happened to that place, Mark. It really is. I grew up on Merritt Island. Love that place. Omni Music, KB Toys, Mother Records. Everybody knows what I'm talking about there. And now, sadly, Sparrow's is closing. It's been an anchor there in the food court. People locally are losing their minds about this. There's
Why
a
are
nice
you
guy
closing?
named John there who's literally worked there since I think 2002 or more. It's just sad when something like that goes away. But they recently moved the Books a Million across the street. My eye doctor may be one of the few stores left in that mall. And I
It
don't know
is.
why I have kept the same eye doctor in the Merritt Square Mall for 20 something years. But so anyhow, that's my spiel on what was once a glorious mall. Now, onto your Bears game. I'll be honest with you, Mark. I went to bed at halftime. I was surprised when I woke up and saw that the Bears won. And I thought about you immediately. I was like, wow, Mark must have been going crazy. So it's too late for me. You see, I'm to the dad point where I want to be in bed even on a weekend by 10 o'clock. So,
No,
you know,
I was not. I've been on board all season. I have not missed a play. Again, I know you grew up a Jets fan. We have not won a playoff game since January of 2011. I was still in my late 20s when this. So when you think about this, like you're a Chiefs or you're, Tom Brady Patriots fan. Oh, we win every January. I'm not winning. We've not had 2 winning seasons in a row in 20 years. Okay. 15 years since the last playoff game. I'm all in. So don't invite me to anything in January. I'm keeping the calendar open. I am. And when we got the onside kick, I just kind of felt like this whole season has been bonkers. Let's go score. This is like a Disney movie. Who scores on 4th down? An undrafted rookie making his first game appearance in the regular season. Second catch of the game. On 4th down, catches it. Then I see my brain's like, all right, we'll go kick the field goal now. No. Then it turns, it's like Varsity Blues with James Vanderbeek, where you like throw. I hope every fan base who's like you said, Jets fan your whole life, misery, pain, even the Jaguars, pain, misery, against your biggest rival after years and years of just pain, to finally give them a bleep you, walk-off touchdown, 50-yard bomb. Chef's kiss, my friend, and we'll see you in January. It's the best way I could put it.
So to talk about pain and misery, just a reminder for all you Dolphins fans out there, next week marks the 25th anniversary since the last time you won a playoff game. So it's even worse being a Dolphins fan.
Look, you and me covered it. They were there in the 2020 NFL draft. Herbert was on the board. Herbert could have been Dan Marino 2.0. Big, strong, right-handed quarterback. Good looking. I mean, he could have been the man. But it was tank for Tua. It was, and remember, Brian Flores at the time, after having him for 1 year, is like, this is not the guy. You cannot win with this guy. And Flores was right. I'm sorry. It's awful. I think, and we'll end with this, and I want your thoughts. I know you're very busy, so thanks for coming on. They should completely blow it up. They got rid of the GM earlier this year. I think you get rid of McDaniel, completely trade away Jalen Waddle, start from step one, make it a 3-year project. It's giving Tua the money, set them back, the whole thing. Not taking Herbert, not taking Jalen Hurts. I'd completely start over. How about you?
Well, here's some of the issues with that. Whether you keep Tua next year or cut him, you've got to shell out the same $52.5 million. So, you may as well keep him around on the bench just in case somebody gets hurt. Because they went on that silly little, 4 or 5 game winning streak, they're not going to have a great draft pick. They're going to be middle to late first round. So there's not even great quarterbacks in the draft anyhow. So who are you going to go get? And look at free agents. Maybe you could find somebody, but with what money? Because Tua's getting it all next year. So really, next year is going to be another season of misery. If I'm Devon Chan, I'm walking around banging a trash can, screaming about how I want to get the hell out of Miami and to a real team, because that guy has been fantastic this year for a team that is just dreadful and awful. And now, Mike McDaniels, I don't think he's that bad of a coach. I just think that Tua, the deterioration of him has really been the bad thing. Remember, they're beating the Broncos 70 to something 2 years ago. And now because Tua, when you listen to him talk, I think that there's some major egg scrambling that's happened to that guy. He also doesn't have the ability anymore. He admitted recently when they were going to play the Bills that he's like, oh, yeah, I can't do the things Josh Allen does because he can run the ball and he can see over the line. It's like, so you've just told us you're small, slow, and you can't throw the ball anymore. So good job there, Tua. I don't know what you do with that guy, but there's not going to be any teams clamoring for him. No one wants that type of dead money. So, they're ankled. They're straddled to that, at least for next year. So, I feel bad. Waddle, he wanted to get traded out of there, didn't get traded at the trade deadline. So it's going to be a tough watch again next year for Dolphins fans.
They had a great gimmick offense, and the rest of the NFL figured it out. That when they scored the 70 points, no one knew what was coming. Then they figured it out. And honestly, if it's under 35 degrees, you neutralize them. They can't win outside. They can't. This is the problem. And you know what's funny? So they gambled and gave Tua the $50 million a year, and it's been a disaster now. Jacksonville, if we go full circle, gave Trevor Lawrence $50 million and then got him the right coach. And now they got a chance to get to the Super Bowl. Again, I never would have thought that 2 months ago.
But remember, Trevor has, again, the intangibles that I just mentioned. He's about 7 inches taller than Tua. He can throw downfield, and he runs really well, and he's been scoring a lot of the – when was the last time Tua did a 1-yard keeper reach over the end zone? Trevor's got like 5 of those this year. If Tua tried doing that, not only would he lose the football, his career might end. They'd never allow him to do that. So, I think his NFL career is close to done. He could end up being a career backup. He's still going to get his Mondo money next year, so I hope he invests it well because that's going to be the last big contract he gets.
I saw my mother, she texts me, Mark, you look 10 years younger. She goes, that's what the beating the Packers did to me, but I also shaved off my full hockey beard. So maybe more it was that. Okay. Tim, thank you so much for all your help this year. I hope you have a great holidays with your family, and then let's rock and roll, especially around the new year. All right, man?
I can't wait, Mark. We'll be talking playoffs soon, and I love it when a plan comes together.